As we witness the rise of violent white supremacist nationalist groups in the U.S., we may better understand their agenda and motives by considering a global perspective. To discuss this, I am now joined by author and investigative journalist Max Blumenthal. Thanks so much for joining us, Max.
Good to be on with you.
Now, many Americans, I'm sure, would be shocked to learn that the U.S. has actually provided direct support for nationalist Nazi-identified groups in Ukraine. So my question to you is, how can the U.S. support a violent ethno-nationalist state abroad and then condemn that same movement here?
Well, it's a great question, and I think we need to start out this conversation by stating as clearly as possible that what we saw with the Unite the Right neo-Nazi white nationalist rally in Charlottesville was a distinctly American phenomenon that revolved around neo-Confederate symbols, that reflects the history of the United States, and whose most important symbol was the presidency of Donald Trump and not any foreign leader. But we also have to ask why Americans don't know that their government has sent millions upon millions of dollars to the Ukrainian military and its National Guard units, which include neo-Nazi militias like the Azov Battalion. They don't know that Representative John Conyers attempted to prevent that funding to the neo-Nazi Azov Battalion, which is explicitly neo-Nazi, whose members wear SS symbols, and that the Pentagon attempted to obstruct his measure because the Azov Battalion were the best fighters against Russian separatists. We are pumping money into a government that includes Andrei Parubi, who is from a party that claimed that it existed to defend the white race and who was recently hosted here in Washington by Senator John McCain and Representative Paul Ryan, two of the key Republicans who are considered sort of moderate adult figures in Washington. This is a scandal. And the reason this is happening is because these are the woke Nazis. You have the bad Nazis in Charlottesville, but then the woke Nazis who fight Russia, just like the woke Wahhabis that we funded in Syria to fight the government of Syria, a Russian ally. And we have to also have a conversation about the $3 billion, now it's, I think, $4 billion in foreign aid we send each year to Israel, a country whose existence is predicated on a blood and soil ideology, which now has an official policy of putting non-Jewish African migrants in literal camps simply because they're not Jewish. Now imagine if that was happening in the United States to groups because they were not white. That's what we're supporting there, and it's the absolute height of hypocrisy for supporters of Israel to attempt to condemn what happened in Charlottesville while supporting this blood and soil movement. It's 5,000 miles away.
I want to move on now to President Trump's thoughts or his initial reaction when the Charlottesville incident took place that killed Heather Heyer. Now, he said he condemned it by saying, quote, hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides, What's your response to that?
I mean, there have been a lot of low moments during the Trump presidency. It's definitely a race to the bottom, but I would consider this his lowest moment at a time when real moral leadership was needed, and it could have come from anywhere. And he did what everyone and his worst critics expected him to do, which is to condemn all sides when we actually witnessed a neo-Nazi what appears to be a deliberate neo-Nazi terror attack on innocent people. This is a moment that the Democrats should seize on, and they should have seized on it from the beginning. The critique of Trump should have been about his bigotry, about his divisiveness, and about his willingness to side with a small slice of his base against the future of this country. And yet the Democrats have been uncomfortable with that narrative. Now it's being forced upon them. They've been much more comfortable with Russiagate and with attacking Trump because of foreign collusion. This is about America and the future of this country. And if the Democrats fail to seize on this moment, then, you know, I can't really do anything for them. And they've betrayed the people who were wounded and killed in Charlottesville.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Max Blumenthal. That was author and investigative journalist Max Blumenthal.